Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori Brame and I am excited to have you here on my YouTube. I am less excited to talk about what I'm going to talk about today. Some of you found your way to my channel because of my steroid-induced psychosis video. I've gotten some lovely responses from people about that, just talking about their own journey with it, or people who are unfortunately experiencing it in themselves or with a close family member. Before I say anything else, I want to give you a hug, all of you a hug for experiencing this either firsthand or secondhand. There is nothing like losing your mind. It is terrifying and hurtful, and not just to you, but to the people that you love most. So I just give you all the empathy in the world, because I've been there, and I'm very sorry that you've had to experience this. Sorry, this is hard to talk about. It really is. I was telling my boyfriend on the phone, I was just like, no, I think I'm ready. I think I'm going to do another psychosis video. And it's hard to do. So today I want to talk about my recovery from psychosis, because I get a lot of questions about that, what I did, how long it took, what it was like. I am also going to do another video on what it was like to have psychosis, what that felt like as a firsthand experience. And but to start, I wanted to talk about getting better and what that was like. If you watched my first psychosis video, you know that I spent 8 days in a psych ward in a hospital. That was horrific. And I will talk about that at some point, I'm sure, but not just yet. You might need to give me a couple months on that one. I just to let you in on something, the reason why I'm so shaky and jolty with this whole thing is because I was diagnosed with PTSD from this whole experience, and just the whole lupus experience in general. And this is one that is it's pretty prominent in my mind still. So I do want to talk about it because I think it's very important. And it's something that if you're talking about it, I'm totally fine. But if I talk about my experience, I still get really anxious. So you want to know how I got better. So I'm getting there. I spent 8 days in the psych ward. They weaned me off of my steroids, which were making me so ill, and they put me on risperidone to even me out. I have 3 days where I do not remember a whole lot. I remember some things vividly, but most of the days I do not remember. And I woke up on Wednesday. I started having memories and more of a conscious thought on Wednesday. I went into the psych ward a Sunday night. So they had me on 5 milligrams risperidone for a few days at that point, 3 days. And I was really starting to even out, but I still wasn't there yet. I wasn't sleeping very well, and I still had delusional thinking, and I really wasn't myself. I really did not have any footing in reality still. And that was very terrifying, but the risperidone was doing its job, and it was bringing me back down to center. I got out of the psych ward still on 5 milligrams risperidone, and I was on that for a week before I saw the psychiatrist again. He told me that I could wean off of it 1 milligram a week until I was completely off of it. By the time I weaned down to 4 milligrams, I was at reality's level. I still had a lot of trauma, a lot of worry and anxiety about everything, but I was pretty leveled out, and I knew who I was, and I knew what was real and what wasn't. The thing about risperidone was that it made my lupus a lot worse. It had side effects of just extreme exhaustion. I also experienced weight gain on it, which I was very skinny from my lupus, so it kind of brought me back up to normal weight, but it wasn't good weight. Like it was just really flabby and loose weight. It was like water weight and fat. Also, kind of what it did was it took away any dopamine that I had, and it was so I was at a state of euphoria, and then it brought me down to reality, but it took away any of the euphoric feeling, but that really left me with no joy whatsoever. Me as a person, when I'm not experiencing depression, I am very joyful and excited and neurotic and anxious, but I'm full of joy, I'm full of fun. And so not being able to experience that, even when I really wanted to, was really frustrating for me. I would cry a lot, I would have panic attacks, and I don't know how much of that was just the PTSD from everything that had happened to me and how much was the risperidone. I watched a lot of YouTube videos about risperidone. There were honestly only a couple, which is another reason why I wanted to make this one. And they experienced the same thing I did, where it's just this yuck, anxious, mellowed out feeling of not being able to experience any joy whatsoever. And it's like you can't get your emotions back online. Like your emotions are just flattened out completely, which I mean makes sense. It's an antipsychotic. So, they really do bring you back down to minimal, like just complete center. So that was really tough for me. It took me 6 weeks to get off the medication. I was terrified when I got off of it that I would go back into a psychotic state. I did not. I actually experienced the opposite problem where I just couldn't get happy again for a long time. I have this one memory of, if you can imagine, which I'm sure you can, I am a big thrifter. So I love going to Goodwill and other thrift stores, and I'm queen of the clearance rack. And I had really wanted a certain type of shirt. I forget what it was, but I had been looking for a while and, hadn't really found anything. And I had been bedridden for so long that I hadn't looked in a very long time, but I was excited to be able to be back at standing and being able to go shopping. And I was alone, and I went to the store just to try to look for this shirt, and I found the exact shirt that I had been envisioning in my mind, and it was like $4 or whatever it is at Goodwill. I had this like aha moment where I was like, oh, I found it. And it was crazy to me how fast it came down. It was like I had this spike in emotion, and it just like landed so hard. It was like it was attached to a lead balloon where it just dropped. And that was one of the first times I noticed like how deeply the medication was impacting my emotions. I'm not sure if 5 milligrams of risperidone is a high or low dose or what that looks like, but it was very intense for me. The doctor said that I could drive whenever I wanted, but I did not feel comfortable for about 2 weeks. My vision was blurry and my reflexes were slow. When I had psychosis, everything happened really quickly, and I could find words and, jump from one thing to another. And it was just kind of like I felt like I had really fast reflexes and a very clear mind. A mind not based in reality, but a clear mind nonetheless. But with risperidone, that whole thing slowed down. I felt like I couldn't say my words, like my speech was slurring a lot. Another side effect was my teeth got really bad, like my gums and everything just got really nasty. I don't really know how to describe it more than that. I also got acne really bad on risperidone. Another thing that was really weird for me was the whites of my eyes became red. I looked like a vampire for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of red eyes. It was absolutely terrible. I really hated it. And from all the steroids, I still had the Cushing syndrome. So I had the the fat on the back of the neck, and then the bloated belly and the moon face. I was still waiting to go down. When I was finally off the risperidone, my doctor told me that it was the last chance I had to get pregnant before he would put me on a chemotherapy drug called methotrexate. First of all, if your doctor told you that, get a second opinion, because it is not true. It is 100% not true. So my doctor told me that. I believed him. I got pregnant right away. Get a second opinion. If anybody ever tells you that you shouldn't get pregnant, ask another doctor. I've been told that so many times. It's sad. I was actually told that earlier this year because of another thing. And then I got a second opinion and they're like, no, you're good to go. So anyway, get a second opinion if anybody ever tells you that you shouldn't have a kid or this is your last chance to have a kid or whatever. Just ask another doctor, please. So coming right off the risperidone, I waited, I think it was 6 weeks to start trying to have a kid. And it was that first month that my ex-husband and I tried that we became pregnant with my son. So getting off the risperidone, it wasn't, I had a hard time like getting settled into normality because I got right into pregnancy hormones. So I can't really attest to like what that was like being off of it. But I just remember being really terrified that I would go back into psychosis once I got off of it. I never did. Risperidone definitely did its job, and I'm very thankful for it. It was absolute hell being on it, but again, they make drugs as medicine. I truly believe that, and so that healed my mind. And I'm very thankful for it. If you are on risperidone, I am so sorry. Stick with it. It helps. It really does. Another thing that risperidone did was it mimicked the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. So I had tremors and weakness. It was hard for me to eat without spilling. This whole time I was a really big journaler, and I really couldn't because I couldn't write very well and my hands would get very tired, and it was just very hard for me to stay focused on anything at all. A lot of that time was spent watching TV. I couldn't get my mind to a place where I could do much of anything else. So that was that. That was how I got better from psychosis. It took me about 6 weeks on risperidone. I know a lot of other people have tried other things. If you have recovered from psychosis or you know somebody else who has, drop that in the comments below. I would love to get as many responses as possible so that other people reaching out for help or empathy can see how many people went through it and all the different ways that they were able to recover. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am so sorry that you are looking this up if it is for a personal reason, but I am very happy to be here and happy to offer any support that I can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.